Welcome to another episode of Vital Doc Talk. And on today's episode, we have Dr. Amber on. And Dr. Amber, your last name is like mine. Mine's just Mukertum Yan, which is really hard for people. How do you say your last name?
Krogsrud.
Yeah.
I go by Dr. Amber. It's just easier.
Fantastic. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Basically, I would love to speak to you, obviously, first and foremost, about your background. That's the warm-up, easy question of the day. Tell us how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so currently I'm a naturopathic doctor in Los Angeles. I started on this journey, really when I was 18, I guess. So decided to go pre-med, was going to go the MD route, job shadowed several doctors, did, pre-med undergrad, biology, chemistry, prereqs, and then really kind of became disoriented to the system and the insurance-based model, and really didn't see patients getting better within that model. And so I was passionate about nutrition, and I thought, I can't see myself doing this 15-minute appointments back to back, 5 to 6 days a week in a clinic kind of thing. So I found naturopathic medicine, which is a approach to medicine looking at the whole person, really using less pharmaceuticals, although we're trained in pharmaceuticals and we can prescribe them, but using more holistic therapies. We're trained in IV therapy, physical medicine. We can work with a broad array of patients from geriatrics to pediatrics. We're trained as general practitioners. So yeah, I got passionate about that. Went to school in Seattle for 4 years, med school there, and then actually transferred and did a clinical year in San Diego. Finished up here and then ended up practicing in LA. So it's been quite the ride, but I've
Wow.
every part of the West Coast, I think.
Did you always think you were going to be, go down the medical route? Did you ever want to be like a construction worker or anything? Or was it like, as a kid, you were like, this is my path?
Yeah, so nobody in my family on either side has ever been a doctor, nor in my immediate family, nobody's been a nurse. Nobody's been in medicine, really. But yeah, I grew up on a standard American diet for the most part, but my parents, they brought me up pretty healthy in some ways. We had a sauna and we'd go to the gym and we'd play tennis and had a garden, certain things that kind of instilled that in me. But yeah, no, I never, from 18 on, I knew I wanted to do something in nutrition, wellness, medicine, and my parents were like, shoot for the stars, and so I did, and I'm so glad I did. I love what I do.
That's fantastic. And my favorite next question always is, so what did you do to grow your practice? What is your tip? What's your favorite marketing source? Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest? Let us know.
Okay, so I have kind of an interesting scenario for what happened for me post-graduation. I practiced in San Diego for a while, and my first year was extremely tough because nobody knew I was a doctor. I was brand new. I didn't really know what I was doing as far as the business side of things. And the doors started opening, a lot of word of mouth. Patients started flowing to me once I moved to LA. So I had family in LA, I had connections in LA. I got offered a position to work on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood at this really beautiful clinic that had been established for quite some time. It was a Institute of Regenerative Medicine clinic, so I learned a lot there. And then that's where I got some Hollywood clients, and then when somebody shares out your name and is really has a positive experience with you and really gets results, they blab your name all over town. So that's really where that started kind of blossoming more. Definitely my first year was challenging, but going into year 2 and into year 3, definitely word of mouth helped. And then Instagram, I would say, besides word of mouth, a lot of my patients will tag me or comment or follow me, and they're always watching everything I do, everything I take, everything I inject myself with every day, following my story. So that's been a huge influx. I'd say almost 80% on Instagram.
Instagram is super hot actually on the show. I just noticed that we had like 5 guests talk about it. Do you bring Instagram up to your patients? How do they know you're on Instagram? What's that process look like? Do you have like a system? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I'm reshared a lot. So I'll tag companies, for example, this is like a nootropic company and I'm a brand ambassador and they send me products and I'll tag them and
Wow.
I'll feature it on their page.
How did you become a brand ambassador?
They reached out to me because I had shared out their stuff before. I do use it. I do love it. Before they send me any, I really find it powerful. And I recommend it to my patients when they're looking for kind of that next level brain health, B vitamins support. So yeah, they reached out to me, and then getting featured on some of those major channels really opens up doors. People will follow you. Having patients who sometimes they'll order the protocol and they'll take a photo and they'll tag me in it, and then people will follow me from that.
That sounds like your growth is very organic. Like it almost kind of like you just kind of followed that path. You had connections in LA.
Yeah.
I don't want to say luck, but it's like, man, it's just really, what do you feel like makes your service? Because I think there is something that doctors that get referrals and word of mouth do that other doctors that are just starting out and struggling, they need to take note of, right? So what would you say makes your service so great? Why do you think other people want to tag you? And you don't say, I don't know, because I want to know. I'm sure there's something you do. Have you thought about this?
Yeah, I think I offer, I make my patients like family, and I end every email like, I'm rooting for you, I'm here for you, reach out if you have questions, which does sometimes, allow a greater amount of commitment to my patients and my work. However, because that is my best form of marketing is word of mouth, I need to make sure that they feel supported, they're connected, they can reach out to me, they know who I am, they trust me as a person. I think a lot of rapport is actually built. By the time they've reached out to me on Instagram about an appointment, they already know who I am, what I do, what I'm about, what I take. They know my life, they trust me, there's built rapport. They're very familiar with who I am at that point. So it's kind of
That is huge. So, and that was for me, by the way, a learning lesson. And guys and girls listening out there, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, basically, whenever I talk to doctors, I used to think like, Vlad, you got this marketing agency, obviously we specialize in just search engine optimization and Google traffic. But I thought, what do doctors know? But some of the pearls we discover on this show is so huge. It's almost just great for me just to do it myself and not even record. But treating your patients or even just for business owners, for me, treating people like family.
Yeah.
If you think about that, if we pause on that, that's huge, right? Like, what would you do if you treat others like family, right? Mm-hmm. And that would be, do you tell them that, or do they just feel it?
I don't ever tell them that. I think I communicate it through my actions in the way that a lot of my girlfriends, like I've met them, sometimes they become patients of mine just because they feel a deep sense of trust, from working with me and knowing what I do, and they don't have a holistic doctor on board. We're kind of hard to come by in terms of the things that I offer. So I also feel like that's a rare find, and a lot of women are looking for a doctor that they can ask questions to, that's relatable, that's young, that they can, trust, and, really get good information about their wellness and their hormones and their healthcare, especially during COVID. I think the telemedicine, they're looking online to connect with a practitioner. So it's been a good route for them to find me.
So you did, and so the word of mouth model, right? For me personally, I'm like, man, that takes so long, right? It's like, you got to be around, like the way I think about it, like you got to be around for 10 years. It's like whenever I talk to a successful business owner or whatever, right? And doctors, right? They own their own practices and businesses. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I was around for 10 years, word of mouth spread. Now I'm here today. And that's going to happen naturally. Now you said the first year was hard. What did you do that first year? Did you try anything that first year on marketing that helped you? Or was it like, this is my first year, so now I have even more time to take even better care of my patients and, really feel like, hey, I really care about you?
If anything, I think I tried things my first year that flopped. I realized that's an energy expenditure I'm never going to do again. Yeah. So I did some local events in San Diego where I would give B12 shots and, and I did get a few patients from that, but it was not worth my time. I ended up losing money for the amount that I paid to be at the event. And so that's what not to do. And I was so new too that I was there with other doctors. It wasn't just me. It was like the clinic I was a part of. But really, I think one of the biggest ways that patients do connect with you and they build rapport and trust is through video. And I do a lot of video. I do have a YouTube channel about peptides. And I do a lot of video on Instagram as far as stories explaining what I'm doing, why I recommend this, why I do this for myself. And I think people they dig that. They really want to get inside the brain and live the experience of somebody who is a holistic, like I view the world in a different way, and they look at that and like, I want to learn from that. How can I understand the way that you view the world? So yeah.
The common theme, it's obvious. You definitely live your life, right? Like, and I guess a better way to put it is you live your lifestyle according to what you preach in your practice, right? Like those are very well combined and cohesive for you. And on the second note, I think I already know the answer to this, but you probably don't promote your YouTube show, right? Or even your Instagram. I think you just do what you feel is like somebody like you would do for your lifestyle, and that matches. And then your patients, I guess, find you because I think what you have is you're part of the community that you serve. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, and if you look at Native American cultures, that's always the way that medicine is practiced. The practitioner was in the community, participating in events. Really, they knew everybody more than just their medical history, but who they are, their friend circles, their life, what they do, what they're passionate about. Yeah, so that's, I think that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, because I could tell, and I've interviewed other doctors. For one of them, for example, he loves to do farming, right? So he'll go volunteer at farming, and then he'll say, hey, if anybody wants to talk, about medicine, et cetera, I'm a doctor. And I think just telling people like, I'm a doctor, they're going to want to talk to you about whatever it is, right? And if you're in the community, just living your life, volunteering, whatever, right? They'll find you, which is why Dr. Amber, she said, hey, some of them are my friends. And obviously that's working well for her. I think Dr. Amber right now, I think when we talked, you said you were kind of booked out, right? For your schedule.
My weeks are pretty busy. Yeah. I'm having to look at other options to
grow,
because the number of people that reach out to me, I don't have time to follow up on the leads at this point. And so they have to have a way to engage with me where it's not necessarily the price point that it takes to see me per hour. I mean, maybe more of a digital way to engage or have some sort of lifestyle transformation without, intense personalization. But yes, I'm pretty busy at this point.
Yeah, and I think that also goes to show that if you, obviously year one's always going to be slow for everybody, but if you just really focus in on your service and going back, I think you intuitively this, and I'm sure everybody intuitively knows different things, but that family feel, right, and really really taking amazing care of every patient can pay huge dividends. Now, do you do so you write a follow-up email after every appointment, is that right? Is that what you said?
I do, yeah. I send a recommendation, and I kind of include a couple little pre-written things that I copy and paste into every email.
Great. Do you feel like there's anything else you do that like an average doctor would not do that helps people feel like, wow, Dr. Amber has done a fantastic job? Or do you think it's your personality? Or all the above?
I think it's all of the above. I do think that, for patients that are already established with me and they reach out and ask me a question, even if it's after hours, I will, reply and help them or give them an idea. And, as long as it's not going to be an hour conversation, if it's just a quick question, I'm really responsive. I think that helps. But I will say I've put up until, the last couple of months, I've put $0 into marketing. And it's been word of mouth. Instagram is free advertising, so is YouTube, and people find you there, and the video builds rapport. And so, yeah, I I didn't feel like it was the best use of my time to even put, um, a huge amount of money into it when I was getting leads from, there's so much organic traffic, which is,
100%.
yeah.
I tell doctors, like some doctors that talk to me, if it's happened before, that, contact me in their first year, maybe even first 2 years, they contacted me and they said, hey, like I'm on SEO, whatever. I said, look, like besides the fact that you can't afford it right now because you're just starting out, like you got to get the basics. You got to build your community, build your network out. Right. So I think makes a lot of sense. So with that being said, why don't we get into the part 2 of this interview, which is challenges.
Yes.